You've been walking through life with your head down, shoulders sagging like a dog scavenging for scraps of dignity, and they see it. They sniff it out, like sharks circling blood in the water. You think they don't notice every moment you second-guess yourself, every time you hesitate, every time you let their words slice through your confidence like a dull knife? Trust me, they notice, and they feed on it. But listen to me, because I'm only going to say this once. That ends now. You've got two choices in this world. Either you let them define you, or you define yourself. They've been writing your story for you, scribbling in the margins of their own lives, judging, belittling, breaking you. And the worst part? You've let them. You've handed over the pen and said, "Here, write my tragedy for me." What kind of fool does that? People are predators. They respect power. Not kindness, not love, not generosity. Power. And here's the twist. Power isn't about how loud you scream or how hard you hit. It's about presence. Silent, unshakable, undeniable presence. You walk into a room, and the air shifts. They feel it in their gut. A presence so heavy it drags their insecurities to the surface. That's power. And it doesn't need a single word to be felt. You want them to fear you? To respect you? Then stop living for their approval. Stop shaping yourself into what they want. Start becoming the person they can't ignore. Do you know why people fear the dark? Because it doesn't explain itself. It just is. When you stand in its presence, you feel its weight. You can't reason with it. You can't negotiate with it. It just swallows you whole. Be like the dark, silent, unyielding. And when they look at you, let them see a void so vast, it mirrors the emptiness they've been running from their whole lives. That's how you make them fear you. Are you scared? Scared of losing the people who don't even value you? Scared of standing alone? Let me tell you something about fear. It's the leash they use to control you. But here's the secret. Fear cuts both ways. Turn it on them. Make them afraid of losing you. Let them realize that your silence, your absence, is more powerful than their noise. You ever notice how people only value something when it's gone? They cry over the chair that's suddenly empty, the voice they'll never hear again. That's your leverage. Your absence is a weapon. Use it wisely. Walk away when they least expect it. Leave them to drown in the echoes of their own regrets. And when they do, oh, they'll fear your presence, even when you're not there. Here's an example for you. Picture a lion in a cage. It's been poked, prodded, mocked. The people laugh because they think it's safe behind those bars. But then, one day, the lion doesn't roar, doesn't pace. It just sits there, staring. And suddenly, the laughter stops. Why? Because silence is unnerving. Silence means unpredictability. And unpredictability? That's terrifying. You've been roaring your whole life, trying to prove yourself, trying to be seen. Stop. Let them underestimate you. Let them think you're harmless. Then, when the time is right, you break the cage. Not with noise, but with presence. A power that doesn't need to shout to be felt. You've spent too much time explaining yourself, justifying your worth. But let me ask you this. Have you ever seen a storm apologize for its destruction? A wildfire ask for permission to burn? Number, they simply are. They consume everything in their path, because that's what they're meant to do. Be the storm. Be the fire. Let them tremble at the sight of you. Not because you're cruel, but because you're inevitable. A force of nature doesn't seek approval. It commands respect. And if they try to break you, mock you, betray you, or strip you of your dignity, Smile. Not because you're weak, but because you're stronger than their petty games. Their insults, rejections, betrayals, they're just fuel. Every time they try to break you, they're handing you the tools to build something unshakable. Remember this: the most dangerous people are the ones who've been broken and rebuilt. They've walked through fire, and now the flames don't scare them anymore. They scare others. Pain is the best teacher, kid. It doesn't whisper. It screams. And if you're smart, you'll listen. Every scar, every tear, every sleepless night is a lesson. A reminder that you survived what was meant to destroy you. So wear those scars like armor, not chains. And don't you dare let them see you cry. Tears are a language they'll never understand. Keep them locked away, and let your silence speak louder than any sob ever could. They'll fear the storm brewing inside you, even if they never see it erupt. Now go. Stop explaining. Stop apologizing. Stop waiting for them to see your worth. Become the kind of person who doesn't need to speak to be heard, doesn't need to fight to win, doesn't need to prove themselves to be feared. Let your presence be your voice. And when you walk into a room, let them feel it in their bones. Let them know, without a shadow of a doubt, that you are not to be trifled with. Because, kid, the world doesn't respect the meek. It respects the unbreakable. So go out there and become the storm. Let them fear you, not for what you say, but for what you are. You know what your problem is? You've been living like you owe the world something. Like your existence is a debt you're supposed to repay with obedience, humility, and silence. Let me clue you in on a little secret. The world doesn't care about you. It never did, and it never will. The sooner you accept that, the sooner you'll stop wasting your energy trying to please people who wouldn't even flinch if you disappeared tomorrow. Harsh? Yeah. But the truth usually is, they're not thinking about you when they close their eyes at night. They're thinking about themselves, their problems, their fears, their desires. You're just a fleeting thought, a momentary distraction. So why, I ask you, do you give them so much power? Why do you let their opinions, their judgments, their whispers in the dark dictate how you live your life? They're not gods, kid. They're not even kings. They're just people. Flawed, selfish, scared people pretending to be more important than they are. You want to be free? Truly free. Then stop living in their shadow. Stop giving them the satisfaction of knowing they've gotten under your skin. You don't owe them an explanation for your choices, your dreams, your pain. You owe them nothing. Do you know what they fear the most? A person who doesn't need them. A person who doesn't crave their validation, doesn't seek their approval, doesn't bend to their will. That kind of person is dangerous because they can't be controlled. And you, my friend, have the potential to be that person. But first, you've got to let go of this ridiculous notion that you're not enough. Who told you that? Was it some coward who couldn't handle your strength? Or maybe a jealous friend, a bitter lover, a cruel parent? Whoever it was, they lied to you. And worse, you believed them. Let's break it down. Look at the people who've tried to tear you down. Really look at them. Are they happy? Are they fulfilled? Do they have the life you want? Of course not. People who are happy with themselves don't waste their time tearing others apart. The only reason they've attacked you, belittled you, mocked you, is because your existence reminds them of everything they're not. Why do you let their words cut you? Why do you let their opinions matter? They're not giants, kid. They're ants, and you've been letting ants dictate the course of your life. Stop reacting to them. Every time you let their words affect you, you're handing them power. You're giving them control over your emotions, your thoughts, your life. And for what? For the fleeting comfort of being liked? They're not worth it. None of them are. You've been playing their game for far too long. It's time to flip the board. Imagine a wolf in the wild. It doesn't care what the rabbits think of it. It doesn't waste time convincing the deer it's not a threat. It simply exists, confident in its nature, unapologetic about what it is. And because of that, everything around it respects it. Not because it's kind or gentle, but because it's powerful. You've been living like a rabbit, running from shadows, hiding from conflict, pretending to be smaller than you are to make others feel comfortable. But you're not a rabbit, kid. You're a wolf. And it's time you started acting like one. Power doesn't come from money or fame or muscles. It comes from within. It comes from knowing who you are, what you stand for, and refusing to let anyone take that from you. And here's the kicker. The moment you stop caring about what they think, the moment you stop needing their approval, you become untouchable, invincible. Because there's nothing more terrifying than a person who's free. Free from their judgment, free from their expectations, free from their control. You want to know how to make them fear you without saying a word? Walk into every room like you own it. Not because you want them to notice you, but because you don't care if they do. Let your silence speak for you. Let your confidence be your armor. Let your presence be your weapon. And when they look at you, let them see the storm you've become. A storm that doesn't need to explain itself. A storm that doesn't apologize for its existence. A storm that leaves them trembling in its wake. Because, kid, the world doesn't need another follower. It needs a leader. And leaders don't ask for permission. They take what's theirs and leave the rest in the dust. You think this is just talk? Some grand speech to make you feel good for 5 minutes before you crawl back to your pitiful life? This isn't about feeling good. It's about changing you, breaking you down, and rebuilding you into someone who doesn't just survive this world, but dominates it. No one else will tell you this. Weakness isn't just a lack of strength. It's a mindset, a disease, and it's contagious. Look around you. How many people do you see walking through life like they've already lost? Heads down, eyes dull, dreams buried under the weight of their excuses. They've given up, and they want you to join them. Misery loves company. But you? You're not like them. Or at least, you don't have to be. You've got a choice to make. Either you let their sickness infect you, or you burn it out of your system and rise above them. But let me warn you, the cure isn't pretty. It's painful, lonely, brutal. But it's the only way to become what you were meant to be. Ever hear about the crucible? It's a vessel used to melt down metals, to strip away impurities, to leave only the purest form behind. That's what you need to become, a crucible. Let the pain, the rejection, the failures melt you down. Let it strip away your fears, your doubts, your need for approval. And what's left? Something unbreakable. They'll call you cold. They'll call you heartless. They'll say you've changed. And they'll be right. You'll become the version of yourself they were too afraid to face. The version that doesn't flinch when the world throws its worst at you. The version that stands tall while they crumble. You want proof this works? Look at history. Every great figure, every legend, every icon. They all went through hell before they rose. Do you think they got there by playing nice? By following the rules? By waiting for someone to hand them a golden ticket? They clawed their way to the top, bleeding, sweating, breaking. They faced ridicule, betrayal, isolation. But they endured. And when they finally stood at the top of the mountain, did they apologize for the path they took? Did they shrink themselves to make others comfortable? Number, they stood there unapologetic, because they earned it. You have that same fire inside you. The question is, will you ignite it? Are you ready to set your soul on fire? Are you willing to face the pain, the loneliness, the doubt, to become the person you're truly meant to be? Or will you stay hidden, letting life pass you by, stuck in the shadows of what you could be? Think about this for a second. The people who hurt you, who doubted you, who left you, what do you think they're doing right now? Are they losing sleep over the pain they caused you? Do they even remember the way they broke you? Number. They've moved on. They're living their lives, unaware of the scars they left behind. But you? You're still carrying it, still letting it weigh you down, still letting it define you. But why? Why let them control you? Why give them that power? Take all that pain, that anger, that heartbreak, and turn it into something they can't ignore. Let it fuel you, not break you. Let it sharpen you, not dull you. Let it turn you into something unshakable, something they'll regret underestimating. You want them to feel what you felt? You want them to see the damage they've done? Don't scream. Don't cry. Don't beg. Silence is louder than any scream, and success is the revenge they'll never recover from. Show them what they lost. Show them what they threw away. Let your presence haunt them, even when you're not around. You've got a storm inside you, an uncontrollable rage. You've been trying to tame it, to fit into a world that was never meant for you. But storms aren't meant to be tamed. They're meant to wreak havoc, to tear everything down in their path. Stop fighting it. Stop trying to be something you're not. Embrace the chaos. Let it become your greatest weapon, because when you finally unleash that storm, no one will be able to ignore its power. Remember, the strongest people aren't the ones who've never fallen. They're the ones who've been shattered into a million pieces and still managed to put themselves back together. Stronger, harder, colder. They'll fear your presence, not because of what you say, but because of what you've survived. They'll see it in your eyes, the fire, the strength, the refusal to be broken. And deep down, they'll know they can't touch you. So, step into the world with your head high and your heart cold. Let them see what happens when someone refuses to stay down. Let them feel the weight of your silence. When they look at you, let them see their worst nightmare. Someone who doesn't need them. Someone who doesn't fear them. Someone who doesn't care. That, my friend, is power. And it's yours for the taking. You think fear is your enemy, don't you? But here's the truth. Fear is your greatest ally. Not the fear they try to instill in you, but the fear you plant in them. When they fear you, they can't control you. Fear makes people weak, unpredictable. It's the crack in their armor, the tremble in their voice. When you learn to wield that fear, to become the embodiment of everything they dread, you'll own them. But it's not about being loud or violent. It's about presence. Walking into a room and commanding attention without saying a word. Making them question every move, every thought. Think about it. Why do they laugh at you? Why do they mock you? It's because they're scared. Scared of what you might become. Scared of what you represent. Scared that one day you'll realize you don't need them. Because the moment you realize that, you become untouchable. People hate what they can't touch. They fear what they can't control. They've spent their lives building their little empires of lies, fake smiles, and empty words. But you are the truth they've been running from. That's why they try to tear you down. Not because there's something wrong with you, but because there's something wrong with them. Let them laugh. Let them mock. Let them whisper behind your back. And when the time comes, when you've built yourself into something they can't ignore, let them choke on their own words. Take a look around. The world is full of people trying to prove themselves, flashing their fake lives, their money, shouting to be heard. But the truly powerful don't need to speak. Their actions speak for them. Think of a tiger in the wild. It doesn't need to roar. Its presence commands respect. When it moves, the world stops. That's what you need to become. Silent, calculated, unshakable. Stop being the prey. It's time to be the predator. Not the kind that hunts for sport, but the kind that hunts because it's in your nature. The kind who knows they're at the top of the food chain. But here's the thing. Predators don't waste their energy. They don't chase every rabbit or bird. They focus their strength on what's worth it. You need to do the same. Stop wasting your time on people who don't deserve you. Stop chasing approval from those who wouldn't even notice if you disappeared. Focus on yourself. Build yourself. And when you're ready, when you've become the storm, they'll come to you. Not because you need them, but because they'll have no choice. They'll hate you for it, of course, for becoming what they could never be, for standing tall while they crawl, for turning your pain into power while they drown in theirs. But that's the price of greatness, the price of freedom. They'll call you cold, heartless, ruthless, and maybe they're right. Maybe you'll lose a part of yourself in the process, but what you'll gain, it'll be worth it. Because when you walk into a room and they feel their hearts skip a beat, when they avoid your gaze because they can't face what you've become, when your silence screams louder than their words ever could, that's when you'll know you've won. Life is a battlefield, and every interaction is a war. You can't go into battle without a strategy, without armor, without weapons. Your strategy? Focus. Stop scattering your energy on meaningless things and people. Every moment you waste is a moment they win. Your armor? Silence. Don't let them see your pain, your fear, your doubt. They'll use it against you. Your weapon? Your presence. Your ability to stand tall, unshaken, no matter what they throw at you. Master these three things, and you'll be unstoppable. Not because you're the loudest, the strongest, or the smartest, but because you're the most unyielding. They'll fear your presence without you saying a word. Not because you've shouted your worth from the rooftops, but because you've built it in silence. And when they see the storm you've become, they'll know. They'll know they were wrong about you. They'll know they underestimated you. They'll know they can't touch you. So, walk into the world like you own it. Not because you want their fear, but because you deserve their respect. And remember, the most dangerous person in the room is the one who doesn't need to speak to be heard. Be that person. Be the storm. Be the silence. And let them fear you. You think we're done? Think again. The real transformation doesn't happen in moments like these. It happens in the silence. In the dark corners of your mind, when you're alone with nothing but your thoughts. That's where the real battle is fought. And right now, you're losing that battle. Every day you let doubt, fear, and regret speak louder than your own voice. You let the ghosts of your past haunt the future you haven't even built yet. And for what? For the comfort of staying the same? For the illusion of safety in your misery? Enough. Enough of this self-pity. Enough of this cowardice. Enough of waiting for someone to save you. No one is coming. Not your friends, not your family, not some divine miracle. If you want to be saved, you're going to have to do it yourself. And trust me, it's going to hurt. Growth is brutal. It's ugly. It's stripping yourself bare and facing the parts of you you've spent your whole life running from. Every failure, every betrayal, every time you've hit rock bottom, it wasn't the world breaking you. It was giving you a chance to rebuild, to become something stronger, harder, colder. But instead of taking that chance, you've clung to your broken pieces like a child holding on to a shattered toy. Why? Why are you so afraid to let go? To burn down the weak parts of yourself so something stronger can rise from the ashes. You're scared. Scared of the pain. Scared of the loneliness. Scared of the unknown. But here's the thing. The fire isn't your enemy. It's your salvation. The fire is what will turn you into something they can't ignore, can't break, can't destroy. Think of a sword. It starts as a worthless lump of metal, but when it's thrown into the fire, hammered, bent, twisted over and over again, it becomes something sharp, deadly, unbreakable. The fire isn't there to destroy you. It's there to forge you. But you have to stop fighting it. Stop running from the pain. Embrace it. Let it mold you. Let it turn you into something they'll never forget. They hate you because they see what you could become, and it terrifies them. You're a mirror, showing them everything they'll never be. And instead of facing their own inadequacies, they'd rather tear you down. But here's the twist. They can only pull you down if you let them. If you give them the rope, they'll hang you with it. But if you take that same rope and use it to climb higher, there's nothing they can do to stop you. Stop giving them the satisfaction. Stop letting their words, their actions, their opinions dictate your life. Take back the rope. Take back your power. And show them what happens when someone refuses to stay down. Look at the strongest people. The leaders. The legends. The ones who leave their mark. Do you think they got there by being liked? By playing it safe? Number. They got there because they were willing to be hated, willing to be misunderstood, willing to be alone. You're so desperate to be liked, to be accepted, to be part of their little circle. But here's the truth. That circle is small, petty, and suffocating. It's full of people too afraid to dream, too afraid to grow, too afraid to be anything more than average. Why would you want to be part of that? The world doesn't need more people who fit in. It needs people who stand out, people who disrupt, people like you. But only if you're willing to let go of the need to be liked. Only if you're willing to embrace the need to be respected. Respect doesn't come from being nice. It doesn't come from shrinking yourself to make others comfortable. It comes from power. And power doesn't come from what you say. It comes from what you do. So stop talking. Stop explaining. Stop apologizing. Start building. Start working. Start becoming. When they see you rise, when they see the fire in your eyes and the storm in your soul, they'll have no choice but to respect you, even if they hate you for it. Because at the end of the day, fear and respect are two sides of the same coin. And if you play your cards right, you'll have both. Now go. Leave this room. Leave your old self behind. And don't come back until you've become the person they fear at their core. Because that, my friend, is the only way to win.